text me that he'll be in a moment or so.
Okay, okay. So I think once again, this is the
Yeah.
second day of our workshop, and I welcome the resource person, the faculties from SASART, and also all the students who have joined here for this second day program. Today we have a very interesting topic, that is effective business communication and business writing, which will be taken by Miss Bitu Chetri. She's a senior consultant MA from NIHU. I just want to tell you, actually, this Nagaland University earlier, this
Yeah.
campus, our Sasar campus, was under NIHU, and now
Okay.
it is under Nagaland University. So I
Oh,
have some connections.
so there's some
Yeah,
connection.
yeah, right. And you have a lot of experiences, so our students are definitely looking forward to hearing from you, to interact with you. And I also, in between, request you to just give a push to the students so that our students will interact with you and get more benefit out of this session.
Absolutely.
I request all the students, especially the final years, to kindly interact with the resource person. This is for you, and you should take full advantage of this course. So please be interactive. And even if your network doesn't permit, then you can go to the chat box, and then you can also put your question there. So I request Bitu Chetri, you can take your time, start
Yeah.
interacting with the students. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am. Before I begin, I would just like to share the screen, maybe just to get a little acquainted with the, teaching system. So, ma'am, just give me a moment.
Yeah, sure. But we would like to see you as
Yeah,
well.
sure. Yeah. Ma'am, can this be seen? I've shared the screen. Can this be seen?
Yeah, yeah, we can see. Yes,
Okay.
yes, we can see.
Yeah. Okay. So just, trying to test a little bit of.
Yeah, right. Now it's in the slide mode. Yeah.
Ma'am, as shared the screen, so I'll not be able to be visible on the screen.
Right. In between, when you are
Yeah,
done with
yeah,
the screen, you
definitely.
can
Yeah,
interact.
in between, yeah, wherever there is no screen sharing, maybe I can make my appearance.
Right, right.
So yeah, can we begin? Can I begin, ma'am?
Sure, please.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, this virtual learning, I'm sure my students are already familiar with. And needless to say, what the topic of our discussion for today's class is, as you all can see right on the screen. So in today's session, we will be learning about communication skills, but keeping your, keeping your study in mind, keeping your branch of study in mind. I would like to stress on the topic that it's not just about communication, but it's about, bringing efficacy in business communication. All right. So yes. All right. See, communication, if we just look into this word, isn't just, telling someone something. All right. It's about getting a message across so the other person understands it and often tells something with it. All right. And good communication, guys, or let's say good communication skills help you and your team get more and better work done. And it's not something that we are not good at. We all are good at. It's just that we have to, improvise it. So I believe in today's class, we will just learn some techniques of improvising our communication skills. Okay, all right. So yeah, before we get into difficult conversation, I want to give you some, simple but let's say powerful strategies for improving your communication in general. All right. And I recommend using these every day during your regular interactions. All right. Uh, if you use them consistently, believe me, they should cut down the situations that can build up to difficult conversations. So let me begin. First, as you all can see it, I've done my screen sharing. And in case if you guys have any difficulty or you need to ask me anything, please feel free. All right, you can unmute yourself and speak up about the issues you are having, or maybe you can use the chat box. All right, so I'll make a point that I'll do pay attention to the chat box in between. All right, so yes, let me get back to the first point. As you all can see here, number one, use as many levels of communication as you can. Now, what does this mean? Let me elaborate. We humans, we pick up a lot of meaning from the non-verbal cues that we see and hear, when we interact. This is why you should be careful when you use email and text that, convey important information. That loss of non-verbal information can have the other person hear a whole different meaning than what you intended. So the important thing here is they are all lined up. I can give you one example. Say, if you are praising your team's efforts, don't be shaking your head. I'm sure we will not do that, isn't it? Or let's say if you want to connect with someone on a personal level, don't meet in a noisy place. So this is exactly what I mean by paying attention to the nonverbal cues, especially when you are interacting, because all these are basically lined up. Second, clearly share your intent for the communication. See, if you state your goal, what happens? You increase the chances the receiver will hear as you mean it. You might say something like, let's say, you're calling up someone, uh, you say, the reason I'm calling you is to apologize for how the meeting went. Or you might even say, the purpose for this email is to confirm that you're coordinating the trade show. So this way, what happens is your intention for the communication is clearer, all right? And uh, and the best part about this is when you get to the point, that way you get through, even if your time is limited or your audience has a shorter attention span. So it's very important to clearly share your intent for the communication. It could either be to serve a purpose for the email, or it could either be, calling someone to apologize. But please make sure that the intention of your communication is always taken into consideration. This is one of the most important, asset of any communication, be it business or non-business. Third, you're also expected to avoid overgeneralizing things. It is fairly common that when we care about something, we state it more strongly, all right? By using phrases like, let's say, you always, you never, these are very strong jargons of words. You should know when you have to use words like always and never. And if you think you're not very sure whether you should use them, I would suggest you to avoid them because they try to generalize things. And overgeneralizing is not a very good ingredient that can be considered in your communication, isn't it, guys? So you're also asked to avoid exaggerating, and I'm sure we humans do love exaggerating things at times. Now, yes, let me talk about exaggerating. I believe that exaggerating is a form of generalizing. This is exactly when, your 10 minutes late becomes 20, or two missed meetings becomes three. Overstating things gives the other person a place to carry you with examples. And then, you are in argument and not focused on the goal you want to achieve. So you've got to refrain yourself from overgeneralizing, and also you've got to stay away from exaggeration. All right. Uh, fourth, a very important point that I would like to share here is speak for yourself. Now, when I say speak for yourself, is you don't have to speak for anyone, or you don't have to speak for anyone's behalf. All right. For this, what you can do is you can use something called I statements. When I say I statement, I actually mean using the first person I to talk about your experiences and your feelings. See, the goal is to convey the impact the other person's behavior has on you. For example, instead of saying, it annoys everyone when you are late to meetings. See, what have I done? I said, it annoys everyone when you are late to meetings. No, this is not what you have to say. It's time that you speak for yourself. So you could have said something like, when you are late to meetings, I feel frustrated because, I have to rework the agenda on the fly. See, you don't have to speak on others, on behalf of others. So this will also be a very important factor to, accentuate the notion of effective communication. All right. Uh, yes, a very important point that I would like to bring about in this discussion is, you have to be an active listener. I would like to switch to the receiver's perspective, guys, for a moment. And there are also some very good strategies to use when you are the receiver in the communication. And one such factor that we all have to pay attention to here is, yes, we have to, make sure that we are listening, because listening is as important as talking, isn't it? So please be an active listener. Focus on what other person is saying, and show that you are listening. Use non-verbal signals such as nodding your head, to show agreement, and or leaning forward to show interest. Most importantly, avoid the temptations to build a counter argument in your head. The goal of active listening.
Hello,
All right.
Bitu.
Yes.
Bitu.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, Bitu. Yeah, just interrupting you, but I think the someone is requesting you to be a little louder. Maybe you can
Am I not
louder,
louder?
a little louder.
I'm supposed to be a little louder.
Yeah, I think so. They are requesting. So you can make it a
Okay,
little
ma'am.
bit volume. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, ma'am. Sure. Am I loud enough now, guys?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Yes. Very much.
Okay. Oh,
Yes,
I'm so
ma'am.
sorry. I'm so sorry. I was just,
Yes, ma'am.
I can't help it, guys. See, the topic is communication. So I was getting so much deeper into it. I was just going on. I was like just talking to you guys just like that. So maybe I didn't pay attention to the chat box. So sorry for that. I hope I'm audible to all my dear students there.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
Yes, ma'am.
that's great. Yes. So I'll get back to this point. I expected that when we are into communication, when we're trying to make it, when we're trying to improvise a communication skill, so we are expected to be an active listener, right? So for this, we have to, as I just mentioned, we have to focus on what other person is saying, and we have to show that you are listening. And the one of the best thing here is using non-verbal cues, non-verbal signals. I'm sure you guys are familiar with non-verbal signals. For example, when you have to nod your head, yes, shaking your head is a sign of disagreement. Nodding your head is a sign of agreement. So show these in between your conversation, all right? Uh, All right. And yes, there's a very interesting nonverbal signal, guys, that's called leaning forward. Whenever you are listening to someone, it is a very good thing to lean forward to show interest. Now, don't do it literally, okay? Don't stoop down. I just meant that your body language speaks a lot when you are, the receiver, from the receiver's perspective. All right. And yes, guys, yeah, I was just trying to talk about the goal of active listening. Let me complete this sentence. So what I feel is the goal of active listening is to be sure you are really listening to what other person is trying to say. Yes. All right, so you have to make sure that that's always there. And when you are the audience, please pay full attention to the person talking to you. All right, no cell phone, no text messages, no emails. It's tough, but worth practicing, and I'm sure you'll get a lot more done. All right. Next, try to ask questions, guys, okay? Especially when you are in a room of, let's say, a conference room, or you're in a meeting, or you're in a presentation. So, when you are the receiver, your goal is to make sure that you're hearing the message accurately. If something is not clear, please don't hesitate. Ask questions that would provide clarity. So there's no harm in asking questions. We all have questions in our mind, and it's time we bring them up. So no hesitation, no reluctancy. Just bring questions, and I'm sure this is a very good sign indeed. Okay, not asking questions instead would be a matter of concern. So yes, some of us might be thinking that my asking too many questions might sound very ridiculous, but I would say it's just the contrary. The belief is just opposite to the contrary. So yes, ask questions. It is a good sign that yes, you are, you're paying attention to the entire communication. Uh, a very important point that we can also bring to our discussion here is sometimes there's no harm in confirming what you understand. One of my favorite technique is called paraphrasing, and I'm sure, guys, you all are familiar with paraphrasing, isn't it? uh, if I have to describe the term paraphrasing, it's like someone has told you something, now you try to put that back in your own words. So there's no harm in doing this. All right, and believe me, guys, this is a very important technique, because via paraphrasing, you share back to the person what you think they said. And this does not mean that you agree totally. You're just making sure that you got the message clearly, and that you got the message correctly. For example, you might say, uh, let's say, for example, if I say, hey, it annoys me when you are late to meetings, you can just confirm that you understood by saying that, like, for example, what I'm hearing you is my lateness causes extra work for you, and that's frustrating. Yes. So see, what you've done is you're trying to give me back my words, but of course, in your own understanding. And this way, yes, this is a very important element I would suggest that we can bring about in improvising our communication skills. And if you guys have not tried it, please try it, because we do paraphrasing, but only in writing. So I believe there's a good room to use paraphrasing techniques even while speaking. All right, that's really very interesting, guys. We all can try that. Number seven, it's considered a very important factor to share your perspective. No one is going to punish you or penalize you because you've shared your perspective, isn't it, guys? Now, once the other person feels hurt, you can now show that what you feel and what you think. You don't have to worry about that, isn't it? You can literally share your perspective. Hopefully, the other person who is now the receiver uses the same techniques of active listening, and so on. Just make sure that when you're sharing your perspective, got to be clear as possible. Try to identify agreements, identify where you are in agreement and disagreements. And you know what, guys? If the situation gets complex, don't panic. Take each piece separately. You can jot it down. Okay, this is the first point. I would like to share my perspective on this. Then you start with the second, and then you share your perspective on that. So especially when the discussion becomes very heated and very complex, we can actually take each of these pieces separately. But of course, we have the right to share our perspective. Yes, especially when I'm into communication discussions, I was asked a couple of questions like, ma'am, do you think we should always begin with the why? Like, why I'm here? What is the discussion all about? What is my point of narration for the meeting, and so on? Yes, I believe it's always a good, it's always a very good habit to begin with the why. All right. it is up to you to get your point across, isn't it? So start by telling your audience why your message is important. That gets their attention. This is the secret, guys. Believe me, that gets their attention. So, this way, they receive your message. And today also, before I began with my session, I might have told you why I'm here for, isn't it? I told you guys that here today we are here for improvising our communication skills. So that's the reason why I have gathered to see you guys. And I can hopefully all of you guys are pretty attentive to this. So this is up to us, guys, and I'm sure it's always good to begin with the why. All right, and we all can do that because people have questions in their mind. What am I here for? What is she about to say? What's the point of discussion? So if you bring that clarity out, I'm sure it's going to be a very important methodology of improvising business communication. Number 9, this is also a very crucial point that I would like to bring into your discussion. This is called tailoring your message to the audience. Now what I mean by this is you have to focus on what is relevant to your audience and use only those terms that they understand. Now it all depends upon the nature of the audience that have gathered. Like, for example, you guys are all students, so I have to tailor my message according to the according to the aspects my audience belong to. So that's the reason why I'm here talking about improvising business communication, right? So yes, that's the reason why I have brought about all these discussions. And tailoring your message to your audience is as important, because this way, I will only talk about what is relevant and nothing nonsensical. All right. It's very important to maintain positivity, and it is equally important to remain proactive. If you have to discuss a problem, state the problem and then your plan to handle it, isn't it, guys? So this way what happens is you show your positivity. This way you are proactive, no laid back attitudes. This is business, guys. This is entrepreneurship. We cannot expect us to be very passive, very laid back. We have to be pretty active. In other words, we have to be very proactive. Yes. So I would like to repeat: whenever you want to discuss a problem, please do not hesitate. State the problem. All right. You've got to communicate that way. And whatever the problem, just try to discuss what you need, what plan you need to handle it. All right. This way you can show your positivity. This way you can still remain proactive. Watch for unspoken communication. I've been talking about this for the second time because I've already talked about body language in my earlier discussion. All right. So yes, you have to watch for unspoken communication, guys. Say, for example, in person, watch body language and facial expressions. I hope you guys know your body language speaks a lot. Your facial expressions, can tell me whether you're actually interested or you're just maybe flicking up the time, isn't it? However, on the phone, let's say, for example, if you're talking to someone on the phone, what you have to pay attention to is listen for intonation. We call this voice modality. So that way you can still figure out what the person is trying to, how the person is trying to understand. Yes. And try to choose face-to-face meetings for, let's say, something very difficult, delicate, or crucial information. So you on your audience can receive spoken and unspoken messages this way. All right. So these are very important factors. We all actually ignore them, but when it actually comes to the arena of improvising business communication, we just can't let these points just go like that. Yes, you're expected to keep an open mind. All right. See, conversation and meetings are a waste if you aren't listening to what other people say. Yes or no? So please make sure you're very receptive, you're very open minded throughout the session. So this is also a very important characteristic of, working on your business communication. Uh, Finally, I would like to talk about using email effectively, all right? Because we're talking about business communication. Now, when I say use email effectively, I actually mean that, see, Email is fast and easy, isn't it? But it presents challenges too. Like other communication, take time to write a clear and effective message. It saves times and reduces back and forth of email volumes. So for this, pay attention to all these six factors. The first one is use informative subject line. If you're asking for action and having deadlines, please include those in the subject. It's always good to do that because your subject is expected to be very informative when you're communicating. All right. Uh, B, you're expected to start with the point. You've got to start with the point in the sense that uh, start with what you want and what's important, and then backfill with the details. Please remember, guys, a good email is like a newspaper article which presents key information in the initial paragraph. Proofread your messages. Spelling or editing mistakes and grammatical errors can radically change the meaning of a message. So you got to make sure that you revise whatever has been written. Proofreading is a very key factor here. Confirm that emails arrive. All right. If you do not get a response, don't just sit back. Follow it up with another email, follow it up with another call, or maybe follow it up with another visit. Uh, One very important factor that I would like to bring to all your attention here is please be careful with humor. All right. When you are careful with humor, why? Why? Because see, it doesn't work well in email. Use humor only with people you know well and let people know you are doing it, isn't it? So remember, guys, good communication is something that you will have to work at constantly. Uh, and by doing so, you and your team will definitely work more effectively. All right. So this is just a quick overview of what my entire discussion for today's session is supposed to be. These are just some very a brief picture of what I wanted to bring about in my discussion so far. So yes, is there any questions in your mind? Before I begin with my other discussion, can my students please unmute themselves if they have any issue of, regardless of what I have discussed? Any questions, or maybe I can just go on? Uh, Hello, am I being audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I'd like to carry on. I hope the quick overview was clear to all of you. So today it's actually, I would say, my day. I have to go on communicating with you guys, and maybe you guys will have to be very attentive and listen to what I'm discussing. And I'll make sure that at the end, you all will somehow, manage to, yes, gain some kind of informative ideas. So that's only if you guys are attentive throughout the session. I've just completed one of the entire discussion on, overlooking some very crucial points for our effective communication. So can I get back to my discussion, guys? Can I just get moving? I hope it's fine with all of you there.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yes. See, this is such a, this kind of learning, this kind of teaching is a new experience for all of us, right? But I'm sure by now we all have become accustomed to it, isn't it? Become so much used to it. I wish we could meet in person. This way, what happens is I could have maybe, you know, uh, I could have just paid attention to your body language. I could have paid attention to your facial expressions, and maybe that way, I could have learned a lot, and I could have shared it with you guys, isn't it? So, if you have any queries, please feel free and let me know. Yes. All right. And if you can interact with me, it's well and good. So yes, let me continue. All right. Just a sec. Okay. So initially, what I was discussing about was about improving your communication skill, on a general basis. But I believe because you all belong to the business spectrum, let me get into a little bit of more business communication. Okay, all right. So I would like to bring to to my discussion more efficacy on business communication. So please read it with me so that you guys can be you know, uh, proactive, as I just mentioned it a couple of minutes back. Yes. So yes, what is business communication? Let's find out. All right. See, business communication is the process of sharing information between employees within and outside a company. And effective business communication is something else now. See, effective business communication is how employees.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Excuse me, ma'am. Yeah,
Yeah.
ma'am, your screen is not showing up.
Oh, really? My screen is not showing? Okay, just a sec.
Yes.
So sorry, just a sec. Nevan, Daksh, Anna. Can you all see the screen now?
Oh, yes,
Can
ma'am.
it? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's visible now.
Okay, that's better. All right, good. Okay, so yes, let's talk about business communication, specifically business communication, guys. So let's begin. As I just mentioned, business communication is the process of sharing information between employees within and outside a company. So, if I have to talk about effective business communication, what does that imply? Let's read this paragraph together, guys. Effective business communication is how employees and management interact among each other to reach organizational goals and be more aligned with the core company values. Isn't it? Its main purpose is to improve organizational practices, eliminate silos. You know what are silos? Have you all heard about a silo mentality? I'm sure, guys, in a year or so, when you get into any corporate, for your future endeavors, I'm sure, guys, you will definitely encounter silos, this kind of an environment, and a very good organizational, maneuver will always work in eliminating silos because this is a silo mentality is basically a reluctance to share the information with employees of different division in the same company. Let's say, for example, I come from the finance department, so why will I share this with the other department? You guys come from the IT department, I don't have to share this with you guys. There's always that poof ups. So this is called silos, and it's always it's always considered good to eliminate them if you want to improve good organizational practices. All right. And yes, what else can we do? We can keep employees informed and reduce errors. So guys, this is how we can bring efficacy in our business communication. Remember, effective business communication is essential for success and growth of every organization, needless of what the spectrum of business is. Unlike everyday communications, business communication is always goal oriented. Now, why am I communicating with you guys? Why have I now, let's say, for example, I'm in a business setting. I hope you guys know when I say business settings, isn't it? Let's say business settings that require verbal communication, meetings, conference calls, project discussions, business proposals, or let's say presentations. They are all purely based on a goal. It's purely goal oriented. That's exactly how and why we have to bring efficacy when we're talking about business communication. I really like what Jim Rohn said once. He says that, effective communication is 20 what you know and 80 how you feel about what you know. Isn't that so true? Yes. So I believe in today's discussion, we will try to bring alive the words that Jim Rohn had coined once, isn't it? All right. So let's talk about business communication techniques. I will discuss one on a one basis. With the rise in technology and businesses getting globalized, even the means of effective business communication are changing. I don't have to elaborate this point. We all are familiar with it, isn't it? With the growth and rise of your business, you will certainly require practical as well as informative modes of business communication in your workplace. So guys, our goal here is to make things practical. Our goal here is to make things informative because these are very important in any workplace. Even the research indicates that the business organization's way of handling employee communication is changing vitally to make business communication effective at workplace. Guys, I really don't know how many of you have heard about Towers Watson. You can Google it. Towers Watson's comes in lots they come with a research year by year, especially in a research done by Towers Watson in 2012. It has been found that, the companies, any company, all right, promoting effective business communication strategies are frequently using one-on-one discussion along with interactive media, in order to stay connected with the team. And the best part about such organizations are they are 2.5 times found to be higher performing firms because of effective business communication. So there you are. Can you just imagine? Effective business communication, guys, is such a key factor, isn't it? And some organizations have taken so much of keenness to it. So considering the importance of effective business communication, this is exactly why I have brought about a couple of points that I would like to bring into your attention. The first idea that I would like to share with you guys, and I'm sure this is purely done on research. Now, what I'm trying to say here is, being a business grad, if you guys are not reading business articles, or let's say if you guys are not reading business magazines, this is going to be considered very shallow. So you're expected to be well acquainted with, with the business in and around you, in terms of reading, in terms of collecting data, and in terms of collecting ideas. So maybe in today's discussion, as I'm going from one slide to the other, you will actually know how important, research and business communication actually is all about. All right. So let me discuss this first point. I hope I'm audible to all of you there. I have to keep asking this question in between. Yes? Are you all there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Yeah. All right. So yes, I am just expecting you guys to be a little attentive. All right. And I'm going to talk about few, excerpts from the articles. And I'm sure, guys, what I have noticed are, especially when you're sitting for a business interview, this kind of information is going to be very influential and very instrumental. All right. So let's begin. Let's begin. All right. As you all can see, my first idea that I would like to bring to all of your attention is, communication can be visualized. Yes, guys, I'm not only talking about verbal communication, guys. I'm talking about communication that can be visualized. And I'm sure, guys, if you ask yourself the question, let's find out which works best, telling or showing someone how the things need to be done. Yeah, well, the answer is, I'm sure all of you will agree, showing, isn't it? Indeed, the answer will be showing. We all love visuals because visual learning is very beneficial mode of business communication. In case when companies want to transfer lots of information, what they do, some of it will be lost once the business communication process is over. So if you want to retrieve them also, it might actually not be possible. But how can this save your day? This can be saved only if your communications were visualized. So this way, what happens is, if communications can be visualized, you create the sticky effect. This is the term people in the corporate use very often. The sticky effect. So what is sticky effect? To create the sticky effect on the receiver's mind, be it for customer demographics, or it can even be any kind of a sales cycles, the team will not use up all the information in text passages. Yes, they will not. All right. On the other hand, visuals will certainly help in making sense of each everything the team needs to imbibe. For example, I don't know if you guys have heard about infographics. Have you all heard about infographics, guys? Anyone there? Are you familiar with this? Are you familiar with the term called infographics? Anyone?
No, ma'am.
My no, right? Okay. Now, if I break the word infographics, I get two words. One is information and the other one is graphics. So I'm sure you guys got the meaning, isn't it? It's like giving you information, but graphically. All right. So yes, let me get back to my point. Yes. So, we can, in order to make things visualized, we can create infographics. Any one of us can do that. I have been doing this today in my class. I presented the slideshows. So these are my ways of my infographics. Okay. So yes. So how can we create infographics? Create infographics which are simple yet very attractive tool of presenting the information in a pleasant and palatable manner. This can be easily created by using tools like infogram. There are tools called infogram, and if you use these tools, you can get lots of infographics for your audience. And guys, infographics are very proficient styles of making facts and figures easily digestible, as well as can be easily referred back to. So there's no crying over, oh, my data is lost and stuff like that, because it can be easily there and everything is so visualized. Have you all heard about Warby Parker? Have you all? Anyone? Warby Parker? Anyone there? Especially the ones who are into business journals and magazines and articles. Anyone? Entrepreneurs? Upcoming entrepreneurs? Anyone who's heard about Warby Parker there?
No, ma'am.
Oh, okay. See, I would like to give you example of Warby Parker, who uses infographics in the form of visuals in order to recap the entire year for their team. Let me tell you what Warby Parker is. Warby Parker is a specialist in glass frame designs. You guys are fond of shades. I'm sure you guys are fond of fancy glass frames, isn't it? So Warby Parker has sells with this brand name. And what I found is they make its annual report using visual content. And believe me, guys, this has become such a milestone, and there's so much in news. Maybe today when you go back, today when you guys are done with our session here, you guys can do a little bit of Google on Warby Parker, guys, and I'm sure this way you will understand what I meant by infographics and how it is important to bring about a sticky effect on the receiver's mind. And one best way is by using communications via visuals. All right. This is first thing that all of you will have to pay attention to. All right. The second idea that I would like to share with you guys is give and take constant feedbacks, because see, you cannot refrain yourself from communicating. You have to, especially when you are in a realm of a group of people. You cannot refrain yourself from shying away, isn't it? So this is how you can actually bring about your discussion. Now, give and take constant feedbacks. I'm sure all of us agree that feedbacks are not always negative, isn't it? Rather, positive feedbacks always focus on making improvements. I enjoy feedbacks, guys, because they give you room for improvement. They help us in developing trust. They help us in, developing mutual cooperation. So for both employee as well as employer, with constant feedbacks, they can improve their way of operating. And there are many organizations which have come up with constructive feedbacks. And one such idea that they have come up here is survey. Survey, I believe, is the simplest way to collect input. It is the simplest way to collect feedback of the staff on everything, say from work culture to employee to a new hiring process, or say job satisfaction. So that's really important. And I don't know if you've heard about this or not. Please jot down some points that I would like to address in my discussion today. I told you guys do a little bit of research on, yes, what was the first thing I mentioned in today's discussion? Tower Watson, isn't it? Please do that. Second, I want you to do a little bit of, I would want you to hunt for some information on Warby Parker, because that the Warby Parker stands right as the epitome of example for infographics. Now I would like to share something called Survey Monkey. I don't know how many of you have heard this, so you can put it down in your notepad. Survey Monkey. All right, this is one of the well-known survey tools. It's always there in the question. So what basically happens is this company called ING Direct Canada, they empower its employees, by providing them with no job titles as well as no offices. Why? Because they're allowed to talk with anyone. Any leaders always try to remove the barriers by welcoming any kind of feedback or inputs from their team. And guys, the feedback they get in return is not always negative. It can also be positive. And this way, what happens is the employees are never policed, regarding collaborative environment in which they operate. So yes, we can always work on giving and taking constant feedback. So please do a little bit of survey by hunting Survey Monkey, and I'm sure, guys, you will understand how important giving and taking constant feedback in any corporate is. And this is one of the very crucial factor for helping yourself in improvising, business communication. I think I've talked about being active listener, isn't it, guys? But I would like to bring this again in my discussion, because many of us get confused between listening and paying attention. Yes or no? Yeah. Thus, most of the employees, I've noticed, overlook this easy and simple tip for effective business communication. So what you have to do is, while speaking or interacting with someone, don't just listen to whatever they're saying. Rather be attentive and make mental notes. I hope you guys are doing that today. Are you guys making mental notes of what is being told to you guys? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so you've already proven
Yes,
yourself.
ma'am.
So you've already proven yourself apt for, improvising business communication. So this is your first sign, isn't it? A first sign to your goal. All right. So yes. So see, if you get an email regarding any issue in the team, do not ignore it, guys. Some people do it. I'm not talking about the emails you get from your friendly terms. Let's say if in the business spectrum. So please try searching for the issue of the major details hidden in the message sent. Some of you just read it superficially. That will result in bad communication in return. So if you're expected to, pay attention, if you're expected to understand the entire message, it's always good to pay attention to the major details hidden in the message. If one of the team members is airing some kind of grievance, hey, listen to me, I want to talk to you about this person. Please pay attention to my discussion. Listen to me. Please lend an ear. All right. Make sure you pay attention to the issue. All right. It's always good to pay attention. You don't have to discard, or you don't have to just chuck it off. It's always worth paying attention to. All right. Next, you're expected to be very clear and confident. See what Albert Einstein has to say on this. If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. So for me, also this is applicable. For me, to help you understand, it has to be explained it to you simply, isn't it? So if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. So for this, what I need to tell you here is clarity. See, clarity is the most important part of any communication, let alone effective business communication. All right. So while writing or speaking, no matter what, while writing or speaking, one should be clear about what one wants to convey. Mostly the meetings are short and time bound. I'm sure you all are familiar with time constrained meetings. So it is better that you should develop clarity about what you speak and want to explain. All right. Confidence is another important element which needs to be clubbed with clarity. Say, for example, imagine people who are clearer, people who are confident enough. What else do you need? You're ready for any public speaking, isn't it? So most of the effective public speakers portray conviction through their style of speaking. And believe me, guys, this is the best way of keeping people engaged in the conversation. And this engaging technique requires self confidence along with better business communication skills. So, next time you guys want to address your point to your audience, please make sure you're clearer before you explain it to anyone else. And yes, there should be a little more element of confidence. Yes, because it is a very important element along with clarity. You have to speak with conviction, guys. Remember that. And you should always demonstrate willingness to share expertise as well as knowledge with the team members. This will certainly promote clarity. This will certainly promote confidence within work culture. So you're expected to showcase, clarity and confidence. Uh, there's a very important factor that I would like to help you guys understand, and it's about bringing a positive culture. It's not about bringing positive culture. It's about creating a positive culture. It's all in your hand. Culture, guys, is the people whom the organization hires and the way the people are managed in the organization or the manner in which the team members communicate. You all must have heard about business culture, isn't it? Work culture. Have you all? Yes. I'm sure if sooner or later, when you guys get into the work, arenas, you will definitely come across this culture, work culture or ethical work culture, so on and so forth. So therefore, any organization that promotes healthy culture will actively share the culture with the team. So because if there's a healthy culture around, you will definitely have a healthy team. So reinforcing a positive and supportive culture will develop a clear understanding between employees. And please remember, guys, culture is very tricky. If you tell me, ma'am, please define culture, I would say it is a very tricky term to define. You know why? Because it develops over a period of time. It is not just born in a single night or in a single day. Reason, we have so much of cultural diversity amongst us, isn't it? So this is the reason why it takes time, but it can be developed over a period of time. And remember, once it's there, it becomes a very important prerequisite for every organization. All right. And by simply framing the practices along with the values in the written form, you can easily promote work culture within your team. This way, what happens is, what is the benefit of having work culture within the team? You will effectively follow your leader, follow its, people will effectively follow its leaders, because that's the culture. We have to follow it. And before you put these practices into action. Uh, I don't know if you guys have actually heard about culture decks. This is very much in fashion. This has become a trend in many organizations, in many corporates. So I would like to bring this to your notice that one of the very effective ways of communicating company's culture is by taking help of culture tech. For example, I'm a newbie. I've just joined my company. I hardly know anything. So how can I help myself? How can I understand the company's culture? So there's something called culture deck, which is purely visual, and it helps me understand the organization better. All right. Because you know what, a culture deck will consist of all these factors. What is the mission of the organization? What are the type of people who are recruited, who are hired in the organization? The cultural deck will talk about the company values in detail, the tools as well as styles of business communication being used, challenges faced by the company, who has done what, who has earned what, and of course managing styles and expectations of employees. So isn't that going to make my job easier? Imagine I join a company and I am totally new to the entire surrounding, the entire environment. I don't have anyone who can acquaint me with the ideas in the company. So for this, there's something called culture decks, and it really works. This has become a trend, believe me, guys, in today's time, and it is really considered very effective. I'd like to give you one example. I'm sure all of you know Netflix, isn't it? You're familiar with movies in Netflix, series in Netflix, yes or no? Yeah, my
Yes,
students?
ma'am.
Yeah. So yes. So do
Yes,
you
ma'am.
know? Yes. So you guys are familiar with Netflix, and do you know that Netflix is one such organization that has come up with cultural decks? Okay. So let me help you give this. Let me elaborate this. Netflix uses culture decks that were instant hit in the business sector. You know why? because culture decks are considered very entertaining. It is considered very authentic. It is very simple. It is very clear as well as forward thinking. So you just at the click of a button, you know the entire company so well, and there you are. There is so much of transparency, all thanks to culture decks. So guys, the transparency shown in the culture decks helps in strengthening the organization's credibility. And this is how it portrayed, and this is how Netflix was portrayed as a great place to work, because they actually use this culture deck till date, and they've become an instant hit in business. So I think many organizations have started following the footsteps of Netflix, and I'm sure it's going to be a very important asset. Next, we have to make sure that we keep announcement and news posted regularly. Imagine just joined a company, and it's been a month now after you've joined. So you have to understand, isn't it, that the company is not just about you, it's not just about your boss, it's not just about your employer, it's about the entirety. It's about the entire community, the organization of the workforce. So the larger the size of the organization, the more difficult it is to convey the message to each and every employee of the organization. So what do we do? So to tackle this issue of business communication within organization, effective methods or modes need to be developed. Understood? All right. See, why am I discussing this is because, the emails. Let me just talk about email. Some of you might be thinking, how can I reach to the others? Email. So some of you are thinking, oh, emails are always there. But guys, emails are not read regularly by the staff. Believe me, they're not regularly read by the staff. So most of the staff, completely ignores the intranet messages. It is, just the kitchen chatters that travels fast and reaches everyone in the company. That's sipping. All right. So, so what can be done? What can be done in the sense is what can be done to, keep this point into consideration. So let me help you with this. A very effective way of communicating with the entire team, let's say a team of hundreds and hundreds of people, within stipulated time is to post the news or the updates regularly on the office displays. With technology by your side, you can put television screens to the best use by sharing updates, that are related to all these points. Pay attention to all these points. Come on, guys, read it along with me. Company's homepage or blog. See, you can post new things there. Upcoming events or meetings, this can also be updated. This can also be posted. Favorite news feeds. And this is not something that I'm just trying to tell you is going to happen. This has already happened a couple of times, and there are so many organizations have come up with this innovative idea, and believe me, it really works, because this, I believe, is one of the best way of communicating with the entire team given the time constraint that we usually are given in any organizations. So this is very important, guys. These are always there. This can always be updated. And you all are familiar with ESPN, isn't it? You guys are also familiar with the Wall Street Journal. uh, I would also encourage you guys to read a lot of business articles. Okay, please do that. And I'm sure, guys, reading is very important characteristic of improvising your business communication skill. If you're not reading, you don't understand things. So yes, let me get back to my point. So guys, like ESPN, or let's say the Wall Street Journal, etc., they keep on informing the employees about the latest related stories of the industry or about the popular outlets. So what happens is this will certainly keep the team updated about latest news that is relevant to them. And if you guys are following this crucially, yes, you're almost done. Your business communication skills has worked wonders. All right. The seventh idea that I would like to share here with you all is make updated company announcement. Let's say, for example, what is the new product on the block? when is the launch date, what would be the price tag for the new product. It can vary, isn't it? What is the target date to do the rebranding launch for the product? Hey, these questions need to be answered, isn't it, guys? And for this, we can make updated company announcement. And believe me, guys, it hardly matters what is being sold by the company. What is important is that all the employees and managers should be on the same page in relation to the latest development in the organization. So what happens is, in this case, to inform all the team members or the employees of the company about the current position, project or product, roadmap is the best tool. You know what is a roadmap? Just like infographics. I think I've told you what infographics are, isn't it? A combination of information and graphics, yes, if you remember. So similarly, guys, we can create something called a roadmap. And a roadmap, just like infographic, is very handy visual tool, that helps the employees to know in detail what is still required of them before anything new is to be launched. Say, for example, I gave you the target. This is what we are going to launch in tomorrow's time. So for this, you have to prepare a roadmap. So what do you think you should, what are the factors that will you will put under that roadmap? Anyone who would like to speak on this? Can I make my question clearer to you again? I said, let's say we are launching a program tomorrow, all right? And for this, you're expected to create a roadmap. Why? Because it's considered a very handy visual tool, yes, where all details are expected to take place. So tell me, guys, what are the details you're expected to have in a roadmap before a launch of a new product? Who can tell me that? Who can speak on this? Come on, let's make our discussion a little more interactive, a little more lively. Anyone? Is there anyone who would like to share your views on what your roadmap is going to look like before the launch of a new product? Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
So can you try? Anyone there? I'm afraid I'm not familiar with your name. So any one of you there? Okay, I'm creating a scene for you guys. See, tomorrow is a launch date of a new product. Clear? And you're asked to prepare a roadmap. You are a part of the company. You're working there. You're one of the employees, right? So you're asked to make something very handy for the entire team. So what do you expect? You want your, the other team members to know via that roadmap. Some of you might be wondering, ma'am, please give me a chance to launch something literally, isn't it? Well, we're just trying to make it look literal, not literally, but just, imaginary for the moment. But that day is not very far when you will definitely be asked to launch something, maybe your own product. So, yes, anyone there? Okay, I'll help you. Maybe I can just help you with some of my basic knowledge. See, some of the features that you may include in a roadmap before a launch of anything could be number one, maybe the product vision. How far is this product going to go once it is launched? So, we usually call this the product vision. I expect this to be a part of my roadmap. See, I'm communicating. I need to make things clearer to my staff, to my team, isn't it? The second thing is I would like to give the detailed features of the product. Don't you think that's going to be not something that can be ignored? Yes. Let me make it more figurative by giving some KPIs, metrics and KPIs. I'm sure you guys are familiar with the key, yes, all these factors. And of course, I would also like to share some of the timelines and milestones of the product. Yes or no, guys? So what happens is a roadmap is very effective tool which contextually depicts each and every team member's role along with the end goal. It also develops a framework that helps every team member to plan for a successful future for their product. See, you are in a team. You have your roles to play. Some of you will be asked to work on the launch date. Some of you will asked to clear, to make the vision of the product wider. Some of you will asked to, to work on the data, of the product. Some of you will be asked to give some timeline. Some of you will be asked to work on the milestone of the product. So you all have your roles to play, and these are all a part of the roadmap. And you can use a very effective and useful tool that assists in making roadmaps, and that is called AHA. If you just pronounce it, guys, it is AHA, isn't it? So, guys, this is a very important tool called AHA. Google it, and I'm sure you guys will understand the notion behind. The notion behind a roadmap. And believe me, guys, it is very useful tool that can also be updated along with the progress made by the company. And bring this into your communication, guys. It really is going to give you good results. All right. Next is encourage self-reporting. Why? Why is this so important? You know why, guys? Because everyone in this world wants to be the leader. Yes or no? We all love to be leader, isn't it? And does not like to be controlled or managed. So the same theory applies in case of organizations also. So please stop micromanaging, by giving the teams the freedom and making them accountable for their work. So every employee simply wants that their work is complete. Being a good manager, you should stop keeping a tab on the employee time and again, isn't it? Rather give them the liberty to check in at the end of either every day or by the end of the week. So this can also be easily done either through daily or weekly update emails, or short rapid fire meetings, or through, Slacks conducted regularly. So maybe this can also help you a lot in improvising, or let's say promoting effective business communication. Have you all heard about HOT approach? This is almost the talk of every organization. I would like to bring this to your notice, and I'm sure, guys, if you get an opportunity to work in any of the upcoming corporates or organization in the coming years, you will definitely be aware or maybe told about this approach. We call this HOT approach. Let me break this word. This is the acronym of HOT is H stands for honest, O for open, and T for two-way. So it's all about being honest. It's all about being open. It's all about being two-way. If you want to make your communication effective, so this is highly effective approach for promoting effective and positive business communication, especially in organizations. All right. Now, what are you expected to do is always follow the path of truth, because telling false information or diverging the facts will lead to worse situations if found out. So we want to avoid unnecessary embarrassments, isn't it, guys? So we have to always follow the path of truth. Remember, honesty is the best policy here. All right. Always be open, as this will help in promoting openness within the team members. It's always good to be open-minded. I think I've already told you why being open-minded is so important. Next, always adopt two-way communication. That is, by being receptive to the viewpoint of others in order to establish better business communication, while providing others also to speak. Some of us have the habit of not allowing anyone to speak. Hey, I am the leader, I have to speak. The rest of you just listen to me. That's not going to work. So you have to create that two-way communication. You speak, but please make sure speak, because someone else has to answer. Someone else has to give you back. So open up this, work on this strategy, guys. It's always there, and it is very, very important. And yes, there will be times, guys, when we will encounter lots of conflicts, disagreements, disharmony, that's always there. That's always there in any organizations. So, guys, the recipe of creating a conflict, believe me, is so simple. Just think about putting few people in a common room for 7 hours every day and 5 days in a week. It is for sure that after a week or so, conflict would be created, even in a very intellectual and compatible team. No wonder which team you are in. Conflict would definitely be created. So before the conflict spoil the communication, guys, remember it does. It's always important to nip it in the bud. There's no harm in intervening. We're always told that please don't interfere and stuff like that. But believe me, guys, whenever there are conflicts in an organization, you should always try to nip it in the butt. Timely, this way, what happens is you save the entire conflict in getting voluminous. So that's always there. So what you can do is just tell the employees that the door of the room is always open, promote transparency, and ask them to get in touch with the manager whenever any conflict or issue arises in the company. Let's say I'm the manager of the company. If something is not going good between two or three of my teammates, I can always tell them that I'm always open to you guys. I'm very receptive. I would like to promote transparency here. Yes, please bring your issues. So you've got to communicate that way. So this way what happens is you create an honest and comfortable environment around you where you feel, where the teammates will feel comfortable in coming to you and voicing the real concerns. Unless of course I say. But if I say, please do not hesitate. So there are usually people around companies where you will have, there'll be some agony aunt, agony uncle kind of a thing. All right. So please make proper use of that. That's always there. And one day maybe you yourself will become one of the agony aunts or maybe one of the agony uncle. All right. This way you can resolve the problem and find the solution to the issues being discussed with an open mind. And yes, try please avoid being judgmental when you are providing or when you are resolving a conflict. You should avoid being judgmental. All right. So also remember, guys, that communicating the company goals to the employees and asking them right questions and attentively listening to their responses will help in resolving the disputes in effective manner. So what comes here is you have to learn how to handle the conflicts diplomatically by not being judgmental, by being very open. If you are the manager of the team, if you are the project manager to your team, please make sure that there is harmony, there is peace. Keep yourself open to any kind of conflicts. If there's supposed to be, try to always nip it in the bud. There's no harm in intervening to avoid some colossal disharmony in the organization. So this way also we can help ourselves communicate in a very professional manner. All right. Now, those were some techniques of handling business communication. Now, there is also something called nonverbal communication. I would like to bring this to your attention. See, it is reported that over 90% of messages are conveyed through nonverbal communication. Just think about it, 90%. And guys, this statistic, 90%, demonstrates the importance of non-verbal communication when interacting with business contacts. And a common aspect of non-verbal communication, believe me, guys, is body language. So when you're communicating using body language, what are the key factors you have to pay attention to? Say you have to pay attention to movements, you have to pay attention to gestures, you have to pay attention to the postures. Another very important factor here is eye contact, because now the learning is so virtual that otherwise I would have definitely experimented this with you right on the time basis of the class, because eye contact is also another important aspect of nonverbal communication, just like body language. Engaging eye contact shows that you are interested in what is being said and are listening attentively. However, a balance must be struck in relation to eye contact. You can't literally stare at people, yes, because too much eye contact could be perceived as a sign of aggression. Yes, yes, it is. It is a sign of aggression. And on the contrary, too little eye contact could be regarded as a sign of disinterest. It's like you're like sleepy, you're bored, you're not interested. This is not your cup of tea. This is not what you're meant to be discussing and stuff like that. So, there are thousands of nonverbal cues when communicating, including the following. Let's have a look at them. Number one, leaning forward, ignoring distractions, and nodding slowly are signs of paying attention. So there you are. I can catch you guys, okay? In the future, if you're leaning forward, if you're ignoring distractions, you don't care what's happening, you don't care who's coming to push you here. It's just that you're there, yes, listening to your speaker. And yes, in terms in times, if you take breaks and nod slowly, these are all signs of paying attention. If you're not doing any of these, guys, it is considered that you are not there. You're not there. You're just there sitting, but you're not literally there. All right. Number two, crossing arms. Yes, I'm sure some of you are literally doing that at the moment. Yes. So crossing arms using a physical barrier And glancing around as though searching for an escape indicates a defensive approach. It's like, it's like you want to just get rid of this thing. You want to just get out of this scenario. It's like enough. So you have to be careful. All right. Number three, smiling, steady breathing. It's not like, trying to whiz, it has to be very steady breathing and an unwrinkled forehead. All of you, unwrinkled forehead. Keep trying. Come on, all of you smile. Hold on your breath. It should be steady. I'm sorry. Maintain a steady breathing and an unwrinkled forehead. So all these are what? These are all going to speak for your behavior. This means that you are very relaxed. You're not very tensed. So you can answer any of my questions easily. Yes. So no fear. So you're pretty balanced. So see, these are your non-verbal communication, guys. So it's very important to pay attention to these factors because communication actually out of three types. You have verbal communication, you have non-verbal communication, and you have written communication. So I believe, guys, all these three ways of communications are important in their respective places. Yes, and we cannot actually afford to ignore any one of them. All right. Okay. So that's exactly what we have. You have any questions in your mind? Okay, I'll make my appearance just for the moment. Okay, looks like the camera of my PC is pretty it's in a pathetic state. So I might look not exactly the way I am. So okay, I believe, yeah, the front camera of my PC is in a very pathetic state, guys. So maybe that's not going to work for the moment. So yes, any questions that's you would like to discuss before we discuss our last topic on a little bit of written communication, business writing? So is there any one who's interested in asking any questions maybe? Am I being audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. You have any queries in your mind? Do you
No,
guys
ma'am.
do you guys communicate? So I'm sure you guys are just waiting for opportunities to communicate, isn't it? And I'm sure, guys, that day is not very far. This specific day will definitely come where um you will definitely get into communication aspects. I have this question which has asked which is asking, ma'am, can I get the spelling of the infographic organization? Okay, infographic organization. Okay, the spelling is, yeah, I think the spelling is correct. It's infographic. I'll just type it and send it to you. So I'm just trying to look into the chat box before I carry on with my discussion forward. Okay. So before we move on further, let me now get back to our next discussion. Looks like you guys have no queries at the back of your head. So we can get into effective business writing. So please let me know if my screen can be read. All of you can, see the screen. Yeah. Can you all see? I've done the screen sharing.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm sure the visuals are ready now. See, there's no shortcut. When it comes to communication, believe me, guys, there are no shortcuts. we have to, it is all time tested. So you have to give yourself a good, pat on your back that I need not worry, and I will definitely get chance to prove my communication skills, be it in verbal or writing. So, you just need to, as I just said, it's all time tested, isn't it? So how can you improve your business writing? So let me just let me just brief you. I don't want to get into too much of detailed discussion on this. Maybe I can just share a few things. For example, say for example, how to improve business writing. You probably write on the job all the time. What do you write? Say proposals to clients, memos to senior executives, a constant flow of emails to colleagues. Yes, but how can you ensure that your writing is as clear and effective as possible? How do you make your communication stand out? So I'm not just talking about your writing skill. I'm talking about trying to make your communication appealing, trying to make your communication stand from the rest, isn't it? Now, written communication, guys, let me just talk about email for the moment. Email is considered one of the most common form of written communication in business. Most companies use email or other forms of electronic messaging to communicate with their team. Although emails appear more casual than writing a letter, they still hold significant weight in terms of how you and your company are perceived, right? Uh, Emails should be used with caution when communicating sensitive information. That's very important. I think I told you guys what is an effective email a couple of minutes back. On my previous slides, I told you to refrain from citing humors, isn't it? You remember? Yes, I told you a few things about that. So guys, emails must always be professional in tone and should be proofread to ensure that there are no grammatical errors or typos. Well, we have to stay away from them. So the following should be considered when communicating and writing. So I have I'm trying to discuss this from this perspective, as you all can see here. The first one here is audience, followed by formality and style. Now, what is audience? Think about who will be reading your email. Some of you don't pay attention to that while writing an email. That's very crucial here. So please think about who will be reading your email before you send it to. Knowing your audience will help you to adjust your tone so your message is delivered in the most effective way. And I'm sure, guys, this is considered very crucial, especially when you're planning to compose one. Formality. The level of formality will be amended according to your audience and the type of written communication. For example, a business letter will be written in a more formal tone than an email. Yes or no? I'm sure you guys will be told how to write business letters. And one of the most important characteristic of a business letter is you have to maintain a very formal tone as compared to an email. You can use headings and formatting to change the formality of written communication according to the need of your audience. Uh, the style of your written communication also will depend on the method you use. For instance, email should be as brief as possible. You can't expect to fill up every damn details in an email, isn't it? Emails are expected to be considered a shorter mode of, communication. Just like having a face to face discussion, effective business writing should rely on the 7 principles of business communication. If you ask me, ma'am, please give me points how I can make my business communication effective. I can tell you, be clear, be concise, be objective. I can say, try to be consistent, don't digress. All right, try to complete your conversation, try to speak to the point, that is by being relevant. Try to cater, try to be considerate of audience knowledge. Say for example, the knowledge my audience is capable of. Depending on that, I have to work on my business communication. So similarly, guys, when it comes to writing, you can also use the same 7 factors into your discussion when composing or planning to write something very formal. So these are, and I have helped you understand these factors with the help of an example. All right. So let's say we are all working in a company and we all are in an organization, and there is a phone system outage. Our phone is not going to work. Now that's going to be very nightmarish, but let's assume there's no harm in assuming. All right. So let's assume that you're writing a communication to let everyone know that the corporate office phone system will be down for a certain period of time next Friday morning. Oh my goodness, that's going to be so much of pain. So let's take a look at how each of the principles of business communication figure into that written message. Look at this. So how can you be clear? See, when you craft the message, let's say Mr. X is asked to write, Mr. X is asked to write a communication to let everyone know that the phone is not going to work. The office phone system is not going to work until next Friday morning. So what will that Mr. X have to do? He has to maintain clarity. He has to be very clear. So when you craft the message, you should make sure that it is clear to your readers. In this case, you want the entire company to know that the corporate office phone systems will be down. So mention the timing between 9 and noon. Now, when I say 9 and noon, I hope all of you understand this. Now, being clear means that you add AM and PM. Yes, you all know these factors, I'm sure. Now, even if you think it might be obvious, but you have to be clear. You have to mention AM. You have to mention PM, all right? You should indicate that you're talking about Pacific Standard Time and so on. So this way what happens is you are very clear while crafting the message to your entire team. All right, that's being clear. Concise. Now, concise basically means being to the point. How? Since it's a message about the phone system, it should be a message only about the phone system. You don't have to talk about anything else. And imagine a message only about the outage. And if you're inspired to include, say something like this, this team man called Tom, he broke the phone system last week, and now it needs to be repaired. Resist this urge, guys. You don't have to put the entire blame on that poor Tom. You don't have to. Even if Tom is responsible for the outage, forget it. Huh? It's fine. It may just be appropriate to joke with Tom about it if he's a personal friend. But this is not the kind of messaging that should go out to the whole office. So you don't have to mention who broke the phone system. Just need to be very concise to the point that this, and this is going to be the case. Objective. You have to be very objective. Now, when you're writing something formal, when you're writing an email, you always have to maintain a very objective approach. Your own personal feelings and comments do not need to be a part of the phone communication. For instance, even though the timing is poor for those working on the polling project, we intend to repair our phone system on Friday. It's a great example of not being objective. See, look at this entire exclamation, the sentence within the exclamation point. The sentence is so objective. Why is it so objective? Because you have refrained from, putting your personal feelings. You've refrained from putting your personal comments, because this is exactly what effective business writing talks about. You have to be very objective in your approach. What is the next feature that is expected in your writing? You have to be consistent. How? Let's say if the phone system has been out 3 or 4 times before, your message should be similar in nature to those that came before it. It's like, oh, it came 2 weeks back. Also, we had a similar problem. So what I write now has to be very much similar to what I wrote 2 weeks back. If one of the details of the phone system is that it is being upgraded, so we can add a new satellite office to the trunk line, don't include information contrary to this fact unless it is explained. Some of us have the habit of writing too much. Please avoid it, okay? Because you have to maintain consistency. Consistent means that the details are the same each time, that the communication looks the same, sounds the same, and that any new details are called out. We don't want any unnecessary mishaps. Yes, you have to make your message complete. If you set out to tell the company that the phone system is going to be out at 9 a.m. on Friday morning and then fail to tell them when it will be back, see, I've just mentioned 9 a.m. When is it coming back? Then your message is incomplete. It is inconclusive. So strive to be complete in your written communication by anticipating any question a reader might ask. What are the questions a readers might ask? How can you anticipate? Say, for example, is the phone system going down this Friday or next Friday? Complete this message. How long will it be done? So write something on this, because these are all anticipated questions of a reader. They might also ask you, you might also have to answer, is the whole corporate office affected or just a portion? So if you can make your points clearer and complete, I'm sure, guys, there's no gufas to be discussed later on. Next, your another very crucial factor is you've got to be very relevant. When considering whether a message is relevant, you can ask yourself, are these readers affected by this information? Who are the ones who are affected by phone system outage? So this message has to only reach to them. This message cannot reach to people who are hardly affected. Say, for example, a teammate of mine has gone out for a holiday. Imagine I'm writing this to him as well. Is it going to make sense? Is it going to sound relevant to him? Not at all. So this is how you have to work on the relevance factor. It also means not including information that isn't relevant to the reader, such as, say, for example, the repair people think that by replacing the left widget on the main switchboard, they may solve the problem. But it could also be the right widget, in which case they'll need to order a part. See, this is not relevant. Why are you discussing so much about left and right? Let the geography factor be ignored, isn't it? You don't have to discuss the right and the left and things like that. So you don't have to speak a lot. You don't have to, cater to all the details. It just have to be relevant, and it has to be affected. This message has to reach only to those people who are affected by this information. So this is being relevant while you're composing or while you're planning to write a very effective business writing. So yes, another very crucial factor here is considerate of audience knowledge. Now, what is this? See, always keep in mind the knowledge your audience brings to the message. If you're communicating the details of nuclear fission to a group, you would talk to them differently depending on how much they knew about science. Now, in this case, everyone understands what a phone is, isn't it, guys? Though those two extraterrestrials just hired in real estate may need to know it's a black thing on their desk with the handset you can put up to your ear. Hey, that's just a joke. I'm sure all of us know what a phone is. So, yes, please remember, you have to bring this kind of information only to the minds of those audience who is being affected by this particular outage. So this is exactly how you can stick to, being this are the factors I expect every time when you want to write something or in your business. So all of you, please make sure you're clearer with what you've written. You're always to the point, very concise. Try not to show your put in your what you call that, feelings and emotions. Try to be very objective. It is very good to be objective in writing, believe me, guys, especially in the business arena. Be consistent, complete what you have to, talk only what is necessary to be talked about, and try to write something which is going to consider a specific knowledge of an audience. So this way, guys, you will develop a very effective business communication. All right. So there are some do's and don'ts that I would like to just put it into points. All right, you all can have a look at it. Everyone can benefit from improving their business writing skills. And so to help you begin straight away, I would like to share some do's and don'ts with you guys for business writing. So whoever the reader is in your mind, that is always a part of your writing. Always keep that in your mind. I'm writing this for whom? That's always there in your mind. Don't become over reliant on your computer spelling, grammar checking facility. Yeah, you have to always keep a good check on all these factors yourself. Do keep writing as simple and succinct as possible. All right, you have to be very simple in your writing, guys. Avoid those technical jargons. You don't have to showcase your knowledge of vocabulary and stuff like that. You just have to write simple because remember, you have to make sure that the consideration of a specific audience is always there, should always be there at the back of your mind when you're composing something. Please don't be tempted to use sarcasm jokingly in written communication. Remember, sarcasm has no room in writing, all right, especially when it comes to formal writing. Uh, all of you are expected to structure and organize your business writing just the way you have been writing essays your whole life. I'm sure all of you have been writing essays, isn't it? So what do you do before you compose a essay? You structure it, you organize it, isn't it? So similarly, any business writing is expected to be well structured. Every business writing is expected to be well organized. Don't be careless when writing a recipient's name, gender, or professional title. I'm sure I don't have to tell you this. It's always good to pay attention to all these factors. So you cannot show your carelessness here. All right. Do choose an appropriate tone for your business writing. And I always expect it to be formal. It should not be colloquial. It should be very formal. Don't forget to include a call to action if a response is needed. You can always do that. You can always call up whenever a response is required accordingly. Do save your best written documents as templates for future use. I don't know how many of you do this, but always keep something handy. Say, for example, you never know what is the call for the moment, isn't it? So if you can save your time, save yourself from all odds, you can actually do that by preparing templates beforehand. This is called pre-planning. All right, so there's no because I don't think so, guys, brainstorming will work when you are running out of time. So maybe a template can save you from all mishaps. Don't be unprofessional in your writing. And for this, you're expected to write and come up with more, articles maybe. That's exactly how I'll be in a position to judge. Unless, of course, you write something, I'll not be able to comment on this. I can just say it as one of the most important points to keep it in your mind while composing something. And at the end, I have this to say. It's incredibly important to measure your written communication against the 7 principles of business communication that we have discussed. Because in written communication, the feedback portion of that social communication model isn't always accessible. All right. So when noise enters your written communication, you often don't immediately know that your audience doesn't understand. Sometimes until it's too late. So make sure you measure your message against the 7 principles to stay ahead of any misunderstanding. So can I ask you all to pay attention to the 7 principles one more time? Yes. So what are the 7 principles where any business writing stands out to be well pronounced? They are: number 1, clear. Your business writing is expected to be very clear. I've given you an example on the phone system outage, how one can maintain clarity. The second factor is you have to be very concise, followed by being objective, consistent. You have to be very complete with whatever you've written. You've got to be very relevant. And yes, not last but not the least, you've got to be considerate of your audience knowledge. And if you pay attention to all these factors, guys, I'm sure you can actually cater to the reader's demand, all right, and stand out with your writing as well. So this is all you need to know when it comes to writing in business. One more thing, I have a question for all of you here. Can you answer this? Can all of you try answering this question? Effective writing is a result of, I have given you 3 options. Can you please try? It's one of the easiest question ever asked. Yes, which option would you guys go for? I've given you a good revision already. Come on, all of you. Maybe just the ones who think they're ready with an answer. Which is the answer? Come on, I'm waiting for your answers. Yeah, can you all hear me? Can you answer this question, all of you? The one that I've shared on the screen?
Being clear and
Yeah, that's not clear. One more time. You can choose one of the options, the first, second, or the third one.
ma'am, the second one.
Second.
Yes. Tell me why. Why you
Second.
think? Yes, why? Why? Well, the answer is purely based on what I have told you all. See, the second one is the best answer because all of these 7 principles that I've discussed with you guys, not just a couple of them, all of them need to be used in effective communication if you have to achieve it. So remember, next time, if you guys are expected to write a complete business writing, you all have to also bring all those 7 elements, those 7 principles. Okay, not just one or two of it. All the 7s will have to be a part of the discussion. All right. Have you all understood? Yes. Now, if you say being clear and concise, this is going to be partially correct. Yes or no? And using the social communication model is not connected to effective writing as of now. So this way we can stick to the second principle of effective communication. Okay, that's all we have for the moment. Any questions? Any questions there?
Dear students, please ask some questions. All of you seem to be a very good listener.
Yeah, they
So
are.
it is, yeah. So this is very high time that after having so much comprehension, they should ask some questions for more clarification. Even if things are clear, you can connect to some of the thoughts and you can ask questions to have some interaction.
Because I've already told them that you have to be active listeners. So I'm sure they've become such active listeners in today's session that they don't need to come up with any questions, right? Can I consider it that way?
Let them speak out. Yes, here is here. Here.
Come
Is
on,
here
guys.
anyone?
A yes or no will also work
Yeah,
magic for us.
at least you say yes or no. You are present here or not. Here is here. Anyone? Hello.
Yes. Anyone?
Yes. Please come on.
Yes, sir.
So just try to interact some 1 or 2 questions. How this was useful to you, or if you want to ask certain question, you can ask any one of you, not only you. Anyone can ask, because this business communication has to go a long way, and especially for your course right now, for experiential learning, you need to have good quality of communication. So try to interact. Ma'am is here now.
Hello.
Yes, you ask questions.
Yes, sir. Ma'am, my question is actually this semester, we will be preparing some value-added products from our home itself, and we are supposed to do the marketing in our own local area. So, how shall we contact and communicate with the people nearby so that they will buy our products? Because we are new to the market and they may not trust what we are preparing.
So this product that you're talking about is going to cater to whom? Like, can you just elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, tell something about your potential customers.
Yes, ma'am. For example, like in mushroom cultivation, we'll be like selling mushroom pickles and dried mushroom products. So anyone can buy.
Okay, so it is about a product, right? That you want,
Yes, ma'am. It's about the
yeah, so you
product.
want to work on your communication.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
you
We'll
tell me from, okay, can I just counter question you on this? Say, for example, you've attended the session, and as you just mentioned that you're planning to, this mushroom cultivation. So I think this is purely based on horticulture. So how are you supposed to come in? Now you tell me what kind of an audience will be, beneficial for you for the moment, for this particular, business, for this particular product, because this is purely going to be maybe, let's say, indigenous product, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
So the product is totally
Ma'am,
going to be a
anyone
local
who is
product.
yes, ma'am. Anyone who is like who likes to go for mushroom, like I feel same goes with other products also, chicken products also. Anyone like maybe
Okay,
who eats, who finds it nice.
I'm going to comment whether this communication has actually, has actually taken place the right way or not. So can you just try maybe some kind of an interface
Mm,
session?
ma'am, maybe like this is
Come
a
on.
homemade
Yeah.
product and which has been prepared taking in mind the sanitation,
Yeah.
uh, and then it's all the natural ingredients are used here, no artificial preservatives or sweeteners or anything like that. So I think this can be
Okay.
good points.
Yeah, this can be done, but this is only about the product. But the question is, why this product? Now, can you just tell me on that?
No, ma'am, I
You can
can't.
you can talk about the preference, local preference of your product. How this
Exactly.
product is, yeah,
Exactly.
how
Because
this
I
product is having higher value to your customer.
Oh, okay, yes, sir.
if so, you've
Nutritional
come up to
benefits,
me. So
maybe.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
nutritional
Yes.
benefits, maybe
Nutrition.
taste, maybe recycle you have used, all those things which may say draw the attention of your customers.
Okay, okay.
And one more very crucial factor is that it is a local product. So obviously something which is not easily, available in the market. So this can also be a limelight to your, communication.
Maybe she is trying to talk about how to advertise her product. So communication in form of advertisement, she wants to know
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. Yeah. I got
how
it.
to
I got it.
promote her product. Yeah.
Yeah. Hello. Let me just intervene. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
please.
yeah. So, see, thing is that your product is a food product. Okay, it's a mushroom. So, it's a food product, and the main concern of the people will be what will happen if I buy this product, consume this product. So, when you put yourself in the shoes of the customer, when you buy a product from the market, what are the things you see in the product? First, the product should communicate to the customer the entire transparency with entire transparency. No hidden agenda should be there. Okay. Couple of things which is important for your kind of product is what are the ingredients that matters a lot to us, to the customer. What are the ingredients of the product? Now, if you are say making pickle, mushroom pickle, then it matters a lot. Yeah, the communication should be like what are the ingredients you are using for the pickle. Then, if it is not pickle, say you are selling dry mushroom, or say mushroom in brine water, or say mushroom in a preservative in a canned mushroom form, or maybe you're just selling the fresh mushroom. you know so when you communicate to the customer, uh, one other thing which is important again is what is the shelf life of the product. We see that many of the product here in locally which we get in say plastic wrapper, or maybe in the paper packaging, majority of the product which are locally available, they do not have the manufacturing or the expiry date on the product. So which is a concern for this kind of small businesses. Then your product should communicate like what is the health benefit. This is something which the customer will definitely look on. Now when you buy a product, you also see like whether it is beneficial for my health. Now what mushroom is a good protein thing. So this can be consumed by the, say, even the vegetarian. So this kind of communication should be there in the product. One is transparency that you should look for, then product validity, uh, then product benefit, how healthy is the product. Then the product can be, again, when lot of thing happens in your packaging. The communication also is done through the packaging you do. Now where are you placing the product? Whether you are placing the product in supermarket, or you are placing the product in the say in your university campus, you are supplying the product to houses of the faculty members or the staff members, or you are selling the product to, say, the local market. So in various cases, the communication will be on depend upon what kind of packaging you're doing. So packaging itself will communicate a lot of things: the hygiene of the product, then the health benefit of the product, the how bio friendly, environmental friendly is the product. So all these things will come in the packaging. And what you write on the packaging: content, ingredient of the product, expiry date of the product, and health benefit of the product. And you should, as an entrepreneur, you should take the responsibility of anything happens. There should be some trust you should develop through the communication, that if something goes wrong, you see any product you buy from the market, there is a toll-free number, or there is a number, or there is an email ID given, that for any kind of discrepancies or any kind of problem, you can contact this. So this develop a trust factor, that you own the product. This product is owned by you. Somebody owns the product. If nothing is mentioned, then people buy the product, and if something happens, then there is no option of communicating back to the owner. So that result into a conflict. Like conflict means that result into distrust factor. So take the responsibility of the product. That is very, very important. Okay. And the language which you use for communicating, the communication language, whatever you write on the on the product packaging. If you write something, then the communication should be respectful. It should, since you are targeting the customers are the god for you. So the word language should be very, very respectful. So I think these are a couple of things which you need to keep in mind while you communicate your ideas or your product to the customer. Vijay,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Swamin. You have nicely elaborated. Any other question or query? Any clarification from any student?
And also in the communication, there should be a system by which you collect the feedback. That is very, very important for your next phase of product development. Until unless you do not know what the customer's feedback is, you'll not be able to know whether there is a requirement of the improving of the product, or the product is perfect for the market. So feedback mechanism, collection of the feedback, how customers are liking the product or disliking, or what are the things improvement they are looking for in the product. So those kind of feedback mechanism should be displayed in your communication platform on the product. So collect the feedback.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but I believe there's a question asked by one of the student here. Can I answer this question? Like, it's in the chat box. The question is ma'am, what's the advantage of reading business magazine? So this is one of the questions that has actually come up because throughout my discussion, I was stressing on reading business magazines and journals and articles. So maybe based on that, one of the student has asked this question. Um, so yes, okay. Now I can just put it into few words. That is, by reading a business magazine, what happens is you will be able to get a detailed analysis of trends and cycles various businesses follow. And if you stick to good magazines, you can find experts' opinions and tips regarding some intricate issues of a particular type of profession. As you will get the tips and suggestions on intricate issues related to the enterprise you're dealing in, what will happen is it will be easier for you to improvise your work condition, which in turn will increase the profit level of your enterprise. So you learn a lot, I would say. And in the newspapers too, you can find detailed report of the conditions of different sectors of the economy, which most of us actually resort to reading. But all reports might not be related to your profession, and you might not be able to get the best help from these reports. So by opting for a good magazine, what is going to happen is it will be easier for you to get the advices that are related only to your field, and thus you will be able to use the tips for the improvement of your business. So maybe that will help you understand the importance of reading a good business magazine.
One of the more question has come, like the problem arises when the mode of communication, that is the language, becomes a barrier. How do we overcome that? Now, see, whoever has posted this question, to be precise, for the answer, to be precise, like again, it entirely depend upon what kind of customer you are choosing. As I mentioned, your customer segmentation, when you do, for example, the mushroom, when you are doing this customer segmentation, there are various kind of customer segmentation. You are selling in a business to business, you are selling to the supermarket, you are selling to the shopkeepers, you're selling to a business owner, that is a business to business. Once you're selling the product in the market also, you are not sitting yourself in the market for selling the mushroom. You're selling to somebody, either the vegetarian communication. Once you're selling this product to your say your staff, university staff, faculty members, and on these houses, then you are selling the product to customers directly, who will buying the product. Now this is B2C, called business to customer. Now depend upon your customer segment, the language would also have to be targeted. Language have to be targeted. Now when you ask language become a barrier, you need to understand the mind of the customer, mind of the customer. You need to read them, and that's why I said feedback is very, very important. Now for example, I'll tell you in a simple example. This is agarbatti, that is the incense stick. Now, incense stick are famous, of southern India. Southern India, okay. Incense sticks are famous because, the sandalwood, this, and southern India has, I mean, since here, over the years, when you see that, there agarbatti, incense stick come from southern India, or maybe from Odisha side. Those are also the places, where in the rituals and all this. Temples and in this. So once you launch an incense stick company in, say, in Assam or in Nagaland, Nagaland is also have a lot of bamboos. Now you design a product of making bamboo stick, and then on that masala, this incense stick masala, and then you thought of developing a product of incense stick. Now when you bring this product to the market, communication in Nagamis, or if you write the communication in Assamese in Assam, people would prefer something which is written in Telugu, something which is written in Odia, because those places are known for that that kind of product. So, you need to understand, you need to read customer mindset, what customers are looking for. And why don't you just write it in two languages then, say Nagamese and also in Telugu. If your product communication goes in two languages, then people may choose it. So I'm just giving an example. So language is you should not consider as a language as a barrier, but you should also consider language as an opportunity. A language is an opportunity, and you have to first read the customer mindset, and then do the language on the communication platform, the packaging, okay, particularly, or maybe developing of an advertisement, not on only the packaging. So the communication, it can be visual communication, on the infographics, what madam said, on that communication also language. You have to first read customers mind, and then design the communication. Now, for reading the customer mind, what you need to do is a market research. I don't know whether it is a part of your course, market research. That is, you need to develop questionnaires. Then, with the questionnaires, you have to reach to the customers as a pilot basis. You have to choose a sample size. For example, if Dimapur you want to launch something, say Dimapur, if the population is say 1 lakh, then you choose a percentage of that as a sample, and then with the sample you administer your questionnaire and collect the data from them. Thus the questionnaire can be online. You can do an online questionnaire platform, or you can print a hard copy and go to customer, fill up the questionnaire, bring back the data. And with the data analysis, then only you'll be able to understand what customer actually need. See, the product might be innovative, product might be very good, but until it is sold in the market, the product doesn't have any value. So keep that in mind. So customer identification, knowing the customer is very, very important for anything which you are doing.
Yeah, you have rightly said. These students need to go for market survey, and based on that, quality of product, quantity, volume, all these things are decided. Only based on that, they can have a proper marketing network also, so that they can have volume of production which can be sold easily in their market, and taking into account the customer's preference also.
Right, sir.
If there are no more question, I think I don't know whether any student want to ask any other question. Yeah, dear students, if no more questions now, it's already, I think, more than 6. So we can wind up the session for today. And I really thank Ms. Bittu Chetri for a nice deliberation on business communication. You have elaborated nicely on all the concepts.
Thank you
And
so
of
much.
course, for most of the time I was in the sessions, so I really appreciate the way you have explained. Of course, some of the concept may be very new for them, and exactly all those things they may not use it right now, but in future,
Yeah.
when they join any corporate, any organization, this will be a great learning experience for them. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, and thank you, Mr. Somen, also. Now, for students, I think tomorrow is the day when they have to bring their little exercise given yesterday on business converse and all. So business model converse they must be working on. So tomorrow is the day again when we'll just go and revise those things. And I just tell them to keep the resources ready, materials ready, so that we can have discussion on that topic tomorrow. So with that, I thank all of you and even my faculty members who joined this program. Even now, I can see Dr. Hemanta, Dr. Rajonino, Dr. Waluniba is still say connected with the program. So thank you so much for encouraging our students with your presence. And once again, all dear students, keep your hope high, keep your interaction very high, so that you can learn more, you can interact more, and with this, your program will be quite meaningful for you. So with that, I conclude this program for today. Bye bye. Good night.
Bye, sir. Thank you.
Bye bye. Bye bye, sir.